Aaron, it is so good to see you. Thank you for joining us for this VC chat. Aaron, will you introduce yourself and the fund Sapir Venture Partners?
Sure, Yonit, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and be a part of this. Sapir invests in very early stage companies, pre-seed and seed, led by Israeli founders, not necessarily in Israel, looking to commercialize deep tech and cutting edge science where we can be helpful as mentors and take them to the next level.
So when you say not necessarily in Israel, that sounds like usually you're spending a lot of time traveling. So how has the last quarter really changed your own personal life and dynamic? How are you working through this COVID-19 crisis?
Sure. I imagine you asked everybody that, and we are all adjusting. For us, yes, so half of our portfolio sits in the US. We're mostly active in Boston and New York, and I have venture partners there who are on the ground. But as you pointed out, I did travel a lot, walking the floor, going into the lab, meeting the founders. That was definitely a big part of what our role was until now. Those labs are also closed. So those people are available on Zoom like this, but they're also not doing as much work, or they're doing it very differently. And we're all still adjusting. As you know, the US is opening up a little bit slower. Things are starting to come back. We'll have to see what the waves look like there, if they can really get back into work, or if there'll be another regression and we'll have to continue to adjust.
What is it when you say that you're adjusting and the founders are actually experiencing slowdowns or changes in the way that they can actually do work? What does that mean for you as an investor? Does that mean you need to look at a longer runway? You're advising your companies to plan differently for the future? What are you hearing from founders, and how are you advising them?
So we came out with advice to across our portfolio, which is very general. And that was essentially, and this is my advice to all early stage companies, is survive. You have to survive. Because ultimately that's what we do. We will come back, there will be economic growth, and you want to be positioned to ride the upswing. And that's your number one priority. But then we dug in with each company and really tried to assess where should they be putting their emphasis right now. So because we're early stage, we know this is long term. A lot of these can be focused more for now on R&D, let's say, but we never believe in R&D without engaging with customers. We don't want them building technology that's not touching the customer to solve a real problem they'll be willing to pay for afterwards. So what we end up having them do is, we suggested, just like you, a lot of your customers are at home, they're adjusting. At least the beginning of this process, they still had a lot of time because they were not sure yet how to spend it and what they can and can't do. And we found that people are more available. They're willing to spend time with you on Zoom, 20 minutes, half an hour, talk through things, and you could really do a deep dive. And so what we recommended for everyone at any stage was create a list, a short list, 5 to 10 questions that are key metrics or information that you need that will help you make decisions for the next 12 to 18 months around product. And talk to as many people as possible, not as a survey, but have a conversation, but walk out of that conversation and answer those questions for them as if it were a survey. You'll end up with a real nice amount of data that you can continue to rely on as you make your decisions and strategic decisions around what to invest in with the resources you have. Do you need more resources? When to turn one thing on versus something else? And I think that several companies that are doing that are very, very much appreciating that opportunity.
I love that advice, because what it sounds like is you're saying, use this opportunity to build relationships. There's a lot of data that you need, but ultimately the people you're trying to connect with are perhaps more available or differently available than they were previously. And it's about building relationships. Now, we hear a lot from founders that are starting to raise capital, that are thinking about their next round, that they're quite nervous about how to build relationships with VCs or with investors today. Don't have the opportunity to meet them at a networking event, or see them at a pitch night, or even meet them for coffee. How do you advise first-time founders who are building their relationship base, their network, in order to raise capital? How should they approach VCs and think about raising capital?
It's a great follow-up question, because of course, if I could take my own advice and apply it to myself, that would be probably make our life easier, but we haven't. It's been hard for us. So we definitely saw ourselves at the beginning of this as one of the more active funds, we were still maintaining our clip of one a month, new investments throughout April, May, June. And now we're kind of getting to the part of the funnel where we haven't had as much time together with these founders, or maybe not at all, other than virtual. And it's very hard. And so what I would say to the founders is you have to understand it's going to take longer. It's going to take more time. We don't have the ability to sit down over coffee, walk the lab, see the results. It's going to take time to develop that relationship where we can get comfortable, because at the early stage, everybody says it, but it's really true. We're investing in people. They have to believe that this team can execute on this grand vision. They may have the inklings of technology and science that we can base it on, but we know there's a lot of development work that still needs to happen to get from the lab to a reliable, repeatable process or product that they can offer. So we need time, and they have to be patient with us. But the flip side is, just like with their customers, I think we're open more now. Even those who say we only want warm introductions, don't send cold emails, people are responding, they're following up. They want to meet as many people as possible because we feel that need to try and engage. So, I mean, we're the type that always responded to every email. We usually try to give a one-liner of advice. We're seeing a lot more of those. There's a lot of deal flow out there. Maybe people, because they're furloughed or sitting at home and they're thinking up ideas and they want to start something new. Happy to talk to those always, but they do need to know that it's going to be a process. It's not like we're flipping the switch and within 6 weeks you're going to have a term sheet and within 2 months you'll have cash in the bank.
So what's your piece of advice to founders right now who are building new companies or thinking about building their companies, and have a whole bunch of question marks in front of them? We're not quite sure how this is all going to unravel, either in the financial markets or in the global health markets. What's your advice to those founders right now? Jump in, think twice, do both. What are you thinking?
Well, if you haven't started yet, depending on what you have to lose, that may be a very easy decision, right? Often people are like, should I leave a good paying job and stability and go start something? You may have already lost that. And so now may be the time to start. I could say in some ways we're kind of at that phase. We had just started fundraising for Fund 2 in Sapir. We had done a first close at the beginning of March, right before everything kind of blew up in the US. And we've been investing out of that already, but now we're essentially fundraising. We have to keep fundraising for that fund. So I do feel people are willing to talk to us. I feel we have the same challenge of creating that relationship over Zoom long-term. It takes time, but yeah, now's the time to do it, because what else are you going to do? On the other hand, like you said at the beginning and in your question and what I said earlier, it's going to take longer. So you have to survive. You have to be able to build a plan for yourself of 12 to 18 months minimum before you may even get to that next round, because the goalposts are changing. What investors want to see. Valuations are changing. I've told some companies, don't raise today because you just won't get the valuation that really is the right valuation for you. And the last thing we want to see is founders that are crammed down today and have no incentive to execute in a year from now. That's a balance that needs to be maintained. So it's not right for everyone, but it's definitely, there's always opportunity, even in tough times.
Aaron, this is great. Survive so that you can actually leverage growth when it comes. Keep moving forward and plan for the long term. And if you feel it in you, take the time, build relationships, and go for it. Thank you so much, Aaron.
I think you said it better than I did, so that was a good summary.
Thanks a lot, Aaron.